You know it's 2021 when Dior is selling construction clothes on Bloor Street, huh? It is April 6th, 2021. We're on Bloor Street, heading down for a little walk down Bay Street area and possibly maybe heading back to Yorkville at some point. I'm going to take some pictures. So here are the pictures that I'm going to take. Hopefully I will take some. Okay, so temperature's nice and warm. T-shirt and a sweater, like a light jacket, and you're good to go. You're good to go. So I'm approaching Bay. I'm on Bloor Street. I did a walk on DuPont Street yesterday. It was very interesting. Much older area. Lots of older buildings that are going, and I think are going to get developed. And this is Yorkville to my left. It's Yorkville, right? Yeah. Double checking. Yeah, this is, oh yeah, Blair Street. Right across there, that'll be Yorkville. But now Bloor Street going west. Let's check it out. Approaching, there's big construction on this road. I did close the sections of the sidewalk and we had to climb across the road, and lots of fun. Lots of fun. Okay, so I guess this is approaching. This would be comparable to the New York's Fifth Avenue, where you have all the big shops. I guess Alternate Fuse across the street there, and just past Dior, where they were selling construction clothing. Everything is visibility color, orange and bright colors. It's amazing when high fashion companies go over the board. The reason they do this is they always do this because when they're selling on runway, fashion is all about, hey, look at me. So they have to make outfits that people, buyers, really get attracted to and really look at during the runway shows. If the fashions are kind of normal and boring, nobody's going to go to the show and watch them. So they always have a couple of pieces that are crazy, you know. Short skirts that are super short would be an easy example. Jackets that are kind of funny colors, so that when the models, you know, the skinny, professional models are wearing them, they look kind of interesting. So photographers photograph that because it's something strange. We love strange things. Photographers like to photograph not normal things. So photographers photograph these models, skinny models in these crazy outfits and publish them. And general public thinks that's what they should wear, but general public never wears them. By the time it gets to general public, it gets toned down to really mellow colors, and the skirt that are super short on the stage gets a little bit longer. The colors get toned down a little bit more. Goes from visibility orange to, light green. It's looking north on Bay. Keep going south. So look at, it's not a very inspiring area to take kind of street photos because it's all modern and developed already. Although looking long term, this will probably all change in a couple of hundred years. Not in a couple of years, but in a couple of hundred years. These buildings are all going to be probably worn out. And probably the needs are going to change, where people are going to live or work. This is Toronto's financial district, especially going south a little bit. And it's probably, as times change and people work from home, and I think it will change the cities too. So this area might change also in a couple of years, 100 years, not a few years. I think I knew somebody who used to live in this building at some point. One of these, I guess this one, when this was first built. We used to visit them. We used to go in here quite a bit. I would go back probably early 90s, early 90s. During the 2000s, I used to bike in the city a lot. I used to come biking with a group of bikers, and we used to just ride randomly across the city and jump over things and parks and offices downtown. And we used to, what skateboarders do now, grind. We used to ride our bikes off the stairs and, you know, do tricks on them all over the city. And that was kind of very interesting because I got to see the whole city, you know, close by. You know, by riding your bike or walking, you get a better feel for the city than you would get driving or, you know, in a taxi or in a car or in a bus, right? You're riding your bike and spending hours in a corner, you know, experimenting with your bike or skateboard. You get to know the city really well. Yeah, so I think one thing I remember, a memory on this street for me was in the 80s. I met Hasselhoff. There was this actor called something Hasselhoff. He used to be on the Baywatch. And before Baywatch, he was in this show called The Knight Rider, where the car was a Mustang or something, or was it a Ferrari? It was a black Camaro. Camaro? I don't know. Correct me. It was one of those American sports cars. And the car used to talk to him. And it was a high-tech car that used to talk and do all sorts of stunts. And, you know, it was a cool car. And he was kind of a cool guy who used to go and help people. And it was kind of a kids/adult with kid-minded show. It was kind of fun, very popular, Knight Rider. And I saw him on the street here, around here. It was all like a big wall here. It wasn't developed at all. None of these condos were here. And I was walking from a shoot, and I had a camera on me. I had a camera on my neck and a camera back, and I looked like a reporter back in the day. And he thought I was he thought I was a paparazzi or a photographer or something. And he kind of looked at me. He was waiting for me to photograph him. He looked at me. I looked at him. You know, he said hi. Kind of nodded, and I nodded back at him. And I didn't even recognize him as the. I recognized him. I thought, oh, I might have photographed this guy earlier on, or like a model or somebody that photographed. I just said hi to him like I knew him. But I didn't stop and shoot him. And he kept staring at me because he was probably wondering, why am I not trying to take a shot of him? That was my... I had that lamppost in the shot purposely. See, I mean, I don't know if it's... And I can hide it behind in the sun. I don't know which one I like better. Sometimes I like the obstructions in the city with lampposts and wires and garbage in the ground and all that stuff. People want to take that away in the picture, but I like it in the picture because it's part of the story of the city. Like if you're photographing a river that runs through the city and it's a city park, I like to keep the junk in it, like the plastic bottles, and because I think those are part of the story. Something going on over there with the cops and this guy, and I don't know what's going on. So I like to keep all of these part of the story. Like a lamppost is in the story. That's the, this guy's got a card here. It's a lot of messages. You know, I mean, bus shelters and walls were the original social media, I guess. People used to write their stuff on the walls, bathroom walls. If you were a chicken, you wrote the stuff on the bathroom wall. I don't know what's going on here with the cops. If you're a chicken, you wrote it on bathroom walls because nobody could see it. You were there, locked in, private. Nobody knew who did that. And if you were a little bit gutsier, you went and wrote it on a wall. And when the cops are standing really far apart, like you have a policewoman there and I got another policeman or woman, I can't tell, like few feet, more than that, maybe a couple of meters away, they're always backing each other. I have a couple of stories of that in New York City also. Yeah, so if you were a chicken, you wrote your slogans in the bathroom, and if you were a tougher guy, you wrote it on the walls. And if you really wanted to go out of the way, you wrote it somewhere in a town square that everybody could see, and you had a big chance of getting arrested and probably shot. These two are wearing nicely dressed outfits. They look like nurses. They were matching. The nurses, the outfits, and the mask. I don't know if they were nurses or not, but they look good. Yeah. And now it's also, this guy's riding in the bus shelter in the middle of a major street, so he's taking a chance. Where are we? Where are we? Wow, look at, this is a lot of buildings here. It's a little bit of an angle look up. Oh, this is Bay Street. Yeah, they got, the police are still flashing their lights there at the guy. Notice everybody's wearing a mask outside. I would say probably 80% of the people I see are wearing masks outside. And I'd say 100% are wearing masks inside. Now, some of these people are wearing masks because they just came from an inside building, but the number of people wearing masks in Toronto is very high. My personal observation is that, like, this guy's wearing it, and it's very high. They've got that building all covered up. I wonder why. That building was wearing a mask too. It's not screwing around. Yonge Street would be to my left over there. But you should cross. In New York City, when I walk, I have this rule, because there are so many intersections and so many cross streets, and you know, you can't, if you walk straight, you're going to get stopped by traffic lights all the time. So whenever I get to a traffic light in New York City and I'm trying to walk for exercise, I immediately go whenever the light is red. So basically, it's a very random walk when I with the camera. Because if I try to go straight, I have to stand way too long. And if you're trying to get exercise, then you are, that guy to my left in a white car, he was wearing a mask inside the car. You know. So yeah, so if you try to wait for the lights, you're going to be waiting a long time and you're not getting a workout. So yeah, I just, whenever I see a green light at a corner, I will turn. And that way I get to constantly walk. That woman had face shield and the mask. You know, this guy's got N95. Yeah, most people, I'd say, compliance is very high in Toronto with masks. I don't know what that building is. They're building a new building, or I haven't been here for a long time. So, wow, this is really cool. They're, you know, it's just the amount of plastic they have on that thing. It's insane. That's like, you know, it's gonna be, wow, it's a lot of material. I don't know. Do you think you can use that material again, or it's over once they use it? I mean, it probably gets damaged, and how do you store it and gets molded? I don't know. Wow, makes a great reflector though. I'm trying to make a picture, but I don't see how I can make a picture of it that makes any sense. I better not shoot it because I notice when I take pictures of stuff that took a picture of those people. When I notice when I take a picture of things that I can't produce later, I get really upset. How about this? Gate 4. Gate number 4. There must be 4 gates to this thing. I don't know. This got to be a new thing. What was here before? Like I was saying, you have no idea what was placed before these condos went up. And I remember coming here in the 80s with my girlfriend one time, a long time ago. We're taking a bus. One thing, I do have a picture of her in a bus on this street. And one thing about this street was very interesting. These had trolley buses that had wire. The whole street had wire on top, and the buses would take, they were electric buses. They would take their power from the wires that were hanging off the top. And you know, it was a very quiet street on the weekend. And you would take on this bus, and it would take you down to the harbor front. But the electric buses are gone. That's and that gave the whole top of the street a ton of wires. And then towards Dundas, I remember the street kind of makes a right turn or left turn. It makes a big turn, and the buses would always, the wires would always come off the bus, where its contacts, when the pole contacts the wire, that thing would flip over and the bus it would come off and the bus would just stop in the middle of an intersection, and the bus driver had to come out, wear these big gloves because they were like really greasy, and pull the cables and try to get the bus going again. That was always a very interesting Toronto moment. The buses. Yeah. I call that, I remember an episode what I called the John Lennon moment, where a person who was kind of a drunk, street person, who was kind of drunk guy, kept calling me John Lennon. And I didn't know why he was calling me John Lennon. I mean, I barely knew who John Lennon was. And he kept calling me John Lennon. I remember this used to be a car dealership here. That's what I remember. This was my John Lennon moment. This guy's wearing a mask on his mouth and biking. And there used to be this used to be a Cadillac dealership, I think, way back, a million years ago. Back in the day when Toronto was completely different. I have no idea how this film's going to turn out, because it's usually I go to places that has a lot of character and old buildings, but I am in the fancy part of town, newer part of town, and see how this works out. The beeping sound. It's much quieter here too. Yeah, cool. All right. I'm gonna do a look back here and do a shot looking north. Ready? Sit tight. I'm gonna turn fast. Don't fall over. Oh, it couldn't. There you go. I even got a cop car in there. That was fast, huh? Let's go. We got a cop car. They have these SUVs and little sedans, you know. The SUVs look kind of big, but they're really low to the ground. I don't know. I've never seen an SUV this low to the ground. They do need an SUV in a place that snows, because when it's got the big snow, you need to go to alleyways and up hills and back stages and stuff. And if you got a rear-wheel drive car, forget it. In the 80s, people all had rear-wheel drive cars. Almost everybody. 70s, 80s. I don't know how they got along so well. I mean, they didn't have a problem. They didn't have, that much problem. Now you have to have an SUV or four-wheel drive or 4x4 or all-wheel drive of some sort. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed in the, what is this, college? Oh, college. Good. Wow, we walked quite a bit. Let me walk to HMM Bay, another block, and we'll see. And then maybe we walk back up Yonge Street. I did a walk on Yonge Street about a week ago, but it was a little bit more exciting. Not much, just a touch. Wow, this is a kind of an interesting. This place used to be an empty parking lot. And I used to come back in the 80s. I used to come here and park my car and hang out Yonge Street. Yonge Street was a great place to hang out. You would come in and there was lots of shops that you could shop at, t-shirts, the 80s cool stuff, posters. You had the record stores and the cassettes, CDs, books. Also, you had this, Eaton Center had this cinema, which, for $2.50 on Tuesdays, you could watch a movie. And there were small cinemas. There weren't a big cinema that fit maybe 10 people, 15 tops. And they had lots of food, pizzas. And so you could spend the whole day on Yonge Street as a kid. And lots of arcades. I personally never played arcades. I saved my money. I didn't waste my quarters on games. But there was a lot of arcades, kind of city arcades, and you go in quarters. And it was expensive. I think quarters back then for a game was expensive. I realized quickly that if you need to get good at some of these games, and in the 80s, all the games were electronic. Okay, they weren't physical games like the 70s, like the pinball machines. 80s, you had all these electronic machines where they're kind of rigged, and for you to become good at it, you'd have to spend a lot of hours playing with it, and you would spend, hundreds of dollars trying to become good at game, so you get the benefit from it. So I didn't even bother trying to get good at it or play at all. In the 70s, you had these pinball machines. I remember in England, and they were easy to hack. Like I almost hacked every pinball machine because they were mechanical. So you always could figure something about them that you could hack them easily, either physically or electrically. And you could play for hours with a 5 pence. But the digital machines, they were not easy, and you had to learn. To learn a game, you had to spend a couple $100 just to get any good at it. So I saved my money, and I bought records and camping gear instead. At some point, you got to spend your money at some point. You can't keep it. You got to spend it on something. So I spent it on camera gear, camping gear, a few cassettes. Not a lot. Maybe one or two. Not much. Mostly camera gear, lenses. Oh, good stuff. Are we going? Let's keep going. Let's keep going to that town hall or whatever, Times Square. What do you call that thing? Nathan Phillips Square. Let's go there. In Nathan Phillips Square, I have a good memory of that. I remember when I came to Canada, like on a second or third day or week, something like that. There was this guy called Terry Fox. So he ran. He was missing a leg due to cancer. And he ran across the world pretty much with a missing leg, and he was a big hero. And when I got to Canada, I think he was already gone, but they were making a movie about him. So the movie, they wanted extras, and we decided to do that. We decided to be the extras in that movie. So my second week in Canada, I was already a movie star. I was like, wow, this isn't bad. So we gathered in that Nathan Phillips Square. And we were waiting there, and they were shooting, and there's a lot of waiting around. And that was my experience. And years later, there was a person called Rick Hansen. He was paralyzed from waist down, and he was wheelchairing across the world too. So I ended up going and meeting him up. When he was coming to Toronto, I ended up photographing him for a university paper, and that was a pretty exciting thing that I wanted to do, because I think there's people who, there's the athletes and the athletes. Like you have athletes that, they make a lot of money and, they play basketball or baseball. Not to put them down, but, baseball, it's not that, you get the cushy salaries and, but these guys who are like missing a leg and are running around the world, I mean, it's a different level of mindset completely. You can't compare. Or in a wheelchair in the middle of Canada, that's kind of like a, people. I can't even drive across Canada. It's kind of tough in a car, in a luxury car. But in a wheelchair, for a missing leg, you need to have a different level of brain at that point, which I think it puts you're a superior athlete in so many ways compared to this car. Maybe get him in the shot. Why not? Or like you're a professional athlete, you get a masseuse, and you get the girls, and it's all like fun and games, and big salaries, $100,000 a game, it's kind of fun. Oh look, CN Tower is poking between the buildings. We're just acting like a pure tourist, filming and looking at things, and let me take a picture, I love being a tourist. It was the same in New York. Every time I got in the cab, they would take me for an extra ride. because they always see my camera hanging from me and I'm nonstop taking pictures. Cabs was always like, where are you going? To the airport. All right. Or I'm going to such and such a hotel or something for work. And they take me around this way, around that way. You know, one time I told the cab driver, I go, listen, you know, I live here. I'm not a tourist, okay? You can go all the town. I don't mind you going anywhere you want because I love being driven and I take pictures. I go, I'm just keep taking pictures. You keep driving. But when we get to the destination, I'm going to pay you what I regularly pay. So you take your time. And you know, and he figured it out. So when we got to the destination, he said, just pay the regular. He figured out that he was trying to rip me off. And he you know, I give him the credit because he didn't try to argue with me saying, no, this is the way I have to go. He figured out that he mistaked. He just saw me with a camera and he assumed I was a dumb tourist. But I took some great shots because sometimes when I'm driving in a car, like a cab, and somebody sent a car for me, sometimes clients send you a car, you know, to pick you up. It's always good to roll down the windows in the back and photograph the street as you're going along, especially in New City, because it's kind of fun, you know, like things come at you, and whenever the car stops, you take pictures, and it passes the time. Believe it or not, time flies when you're taking pictures, looking. I can do that with the train too. I like that with train and planes, but cars are fun. And yeah, it's sometimes I prefer like regular cars to limos because limos have these black tinted windows, and when you pull them down, kind of everybody looks at you. But like in a regular car, like a client's car or something, from back seat or front seat's even better. Oh my God, you can take some really neat shots that, you know, you have split second. The reason I like it is because you don't have enough time to say, should I take a picture of this or not? Like, you don't have that kind of time. So you just bang. Let's get the top of that building in, because I'm sure the architect liked the curves on top. In street photography, when you think too much, your pictures become kind of stale. You know, should I take this? Should I move back? Should I let this person pass? It just becomes a little bit trying too hard. So when you just take it without thinking, usually those are the best shots, but you got to be very quick. And when you're driving a car or on a train, just looking out the window, you don't have time to think. You just got to shoot, you know. And back in the film days, film was expensive, so you kind of didn't want to do that. But, you know, digital, you can burn through a lot of film and you might get a few good shots that are interesting. I do that also when I'm traveling on a train. I've got the camera stuck to the window all the way to Ottawa. Just trying to find something, you know, maybe a farmhouse, and a little bit trickier on a train because you have to have a very high shutter speed so pictures are not blurry. In a car, because it's up so much, it's easier. Okay, so this is Times Square. This is, what do you call this thing? City Hall. That's where the president of the city lives. Who's the president of the city? I have no idea. The mayor. I call that president of the city. Who the mayor is of the Toronto? Who's the mayor of Toronto? God. Oh yeah, that guy. Who's that? He used to be a radio announcer. John Tory, I guess. Yeah, John Tory. It was Rob Ford. Yeah. The famous guy who made Toronto super famous. One day I was in New York City, in Atlanta. I was on a shoot in Atlanta. Woke up and turned on the TV, and Toronto was all over the news because of him. I was like, wow! And instantly, we were celebrities. You know, we're like, oh, you're from Toronto? Oh, you got that man, right? Like instantly, we were celebrities. Everybody was talking to us. You know, like everybody knew where Toronto was. I think that guy added billions in cities' popularity, because in Atlanta, most people don't even know where Toronto is. I've never even heard of it. But overnight, everywhere I went, oh, Toronto, right? You're from Toronto? Oh my God, you know. It was like instant fame. Oh, the new guys, not a new guy, he's been there for a while. Used to be a radio announcer on a talk radio show, I remember, back in 2000s. Used to be a talk guy. and then he ran for to be the president of the city. This is the old part, old city hall, the old building, very, very British. Check it out, check it out, check it out. Look at that stone. I think there's courts in there too. Used to be anyway. Used to see cops bringing in people in handcuffs all the time there, and you know, deal with them and then send them away. So let's go in here. We end the video in. I haven't been this place in like, probably 20 years. I don't even know if you're allowed to go in now because of cancellation and restrictions. But let's just sneak there and see what's going on. Okay. All right. All right. All right, all right. Big tourist, big tourist. Look at that, that's a good shot. Oh, it's too bright for the sun. Okay, hold on. That's good. There you go. I'm using a manual exposure on this camera. Interesting. Oh, this thing would be great to walk on. I remember coming here with a bike and nobody actually could ride across it. Everybody talked about it. I thought they were photography, but I guess they're just iPhoning it. Oh, this is a good light on this building. This is a good light on this building. Maybe, possibly. Very postcard. So I guess they do ice skating here when it's you know. Okay, that's it. So we are here. I'm gonna head to Yonge Street and oh, that bird was doing a flyby really close. Jet fighter. Anyway, thanks for this little walk. We will catch you in the next ride. Hopefully this turns out good. I might take some other shots here, just to have something in a video. It wasn't a very photogenic a journey for me, you know. It's okay. Maybe a shot this way though, with the sun going down behind that building. I don't know what building that is, but it looks cool. And shut it down so the sky is kind of a little bit like that. Okay. All right, thank you, and catch you in the next ride. We're back out.